Okay, so today I want to do some illustrating in this insert. So this is like the faces that I did here. And I haven't worked in this insert for a while, but it's really fun in terms of the work that I did here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the insert out. It's just such a lovely day today that I feel like illustrating. I actually have to do some other work today, which I'll probably try and do it after, but it's, you know, one of those days that you have this craving for illustrating and you should totally do it. Okay, so here's what I want to share with you. I will be using this. It's called Your Rule Bible Mat. It's really great for all sorts of thin papers, not just the Bible, and that's what I bought it for, to use with my MD cotton notebook and also Tamoy River paper. So this is Tamoy River paper insert. And what happens on thin papers is you get like an indentation, and sometimes you can't, how shall I say, you can't, for example, if you have like pencils or some sort of medium on there that would transfer, for example, say for example this was like pencil or chalk or whatever, and then on this page I would want it to go back and do some doodling onto here and press quite hard with the pen that I'm using. Then I would lift it and I would see that color come or transfer onto this page, but also would see those marks on here. So this is where this mat comes in. If I would use it like that, I would not have that problem at all, and I could actually do some pencil work, which is what prevents me from doing, because I hate that kind of transferal thing. So today I want to work here and finish this illustration. Now I might also use some pencils, I don't know, but I'll see. So this is something I've done a while ago when I was swatching Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks, and it's a gorgeous little kind of splatter thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of these pastel colors here. So let's have a look. I think this looks gorgeous with that, so I'll use this one. These are the Zebra Sakura, and they come in a set of 25, so they're all here. You can't see all the colors, but I need to put them somewhere. And I separated the pastels, so let's see, I might do like that. And then there is one which is this indigo color. It's gorgeous, so I might use that one as well. So I'll just kind of give myself a limited color palette, and I will start by drawing out a face. Now these are great because they're 0.5, or this one is called blue black. So these are very fine pointed, and they are great for illustrating and doodling and all that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to think where that face would be, because this kind of sort of is hard to establish what it is at the minute, but I'm just going to try and work with it. Alright, so I'll switch to the voiceover, I thought, because it ended up being over half an hour footage that I recorded, so I didn't want it to be that long of a video. So I'm using this zebra pen that I showed you before. I will leave the links below in case you're interested. It's the 25 color set, and they're super smooth, and I like the fact that they're 0.5, yeah, 0.5, so very fine line. And the colors, the color variety is great. You get loads of pastels and brighter colors, and this particular one is like a navy color, very beautiful dark blue. So I'm just adding some lines and illustrating a face which is basically attached right to that Tim Holtz Oxides swatches that I did. So there are, I think, 2 colors there that I swatched out, and I think they were, well, one of the oranges and one of the yellows. So Fossilite Amber, I know for sure, and then the other orange, let me just check. I think it might have been the Spiced Marmalade with the Fossilized Amber, I think it was. So they look quite beautiful together. So the idea here is to create like a headpiece of some sort, either like a hat or hair or some sort of a basis to this illustration, and kind of make it one piece rather than having this big swatch blob kind of thing. So here I decided to illustrate the hair in a very kind of fine line style, and I start by filling in the lines in certain areas to create dimensions, so a little bit thicker at the bottom, and then you'll see later actually I will end up darkening the whole thing slightly more, and it ended up looking quite nice stylistically. So here I'm going over the top as well, doing the same thing as I did at the bottom of the fringe, and at the minute it's unclear whether it's like a dense heavy fringe or a kind of slide-on hat, but that's the beauty of, you know, letting your fantasy go wild and kind of just see what you see. Let your eyes see what they want to see. So here I'm just standing back a little bit and thinking, shall I darken it or shall I not? And I think later I might do, but for now I decided to move on. And that's a good tip I would give you when you're illustrating. Always take a break if you're not certain, and just, you know, have a little break to see. Give your eyes a little break from what you're doing, where you're focused on, and just stand back and decide, do you need to add or not, or even better yet, move on to another part of the illustration and then go back to it, and you'll know at that point for sure whether you should have, you know, just left it or add a little bit more. So here I decided to pick out some or few, so 5 colors by the looks of it, from my Polychromo pencil collection, and I went for these warm orange colors, one red, one kind of deep dark red, and this like a mango color to create a lip. I don't actually remember if I used all of them, but I was trying to, I think I'm trying to pick a few more colors here, which you will see, and that kind of I will use those colors later on in the illustration. So what I'm doing here on the lip is I'm trying to create like a dimensional, plump, luscious looking lip, and so I start by filling in the red with hardly any pressure, and then I switch to the dark red and I do the edges of the lip with the dark red, and already that is giving you that kind of dimensional look, which is great. It kind of has a very realistic but illustrative look to it. Also, I left a highlight on the bottom lip, as you can see there, and that also creates that bit of a glossy kind of look. So when the light hits some area, you then get a little highlight, as in her eyelids as well. You can see that. Now I love using this mango colored pencil, and that just mixed with reds, it warms things up, and I find for the lip it looks really, really good. So then I'm going back to the darker color here, and then sort of blending everything together, but making sure I'm not going too far into the middle of the lip, keeping in mind that the area that I'm trying to work on is already relatively small. So here I was trying to show you a close-up. There we go. And so it's not, you don't have like a large space to work with. Here I'm showing you that the page is nice and smooth on the other side, because I'm using the Illustrated Faith Bible mat, but you can totally use it for other purposes. As long as the paper is nice and thin, that's when it's handy, because Bible paper is very thin. I'd compare it to Tomoe River paper, but very, very yeah, very smooth and fine. Probably the thinner one that they have might be even thinner, actually, I don't know. So here I'm just picking out a few more neutral colors, and they will be going for her eyelid and her complexion, I believe. It's been a while since I did this illustration, and I'm just doing a voiceover for it, so I'm trying to remember as we go. So yeah, I got a couple of skin tones there, a couple of browns and sort of warm browns and dark browns, all that kind of thing. And I'm starting by using this warm brown, like a reddish brown, to add into her lid area, and I'm just using very minimal pressure there, because I don't want it to be too strong just yet, because I'm going to build up and I'm going to add other colors to blend in. So as you always start with the pencils, colored pencils, make sure you don't press too hard, because there will be time for that later on. So I'm looking around the face and thinking where I want this color to be repeated, and I decided to create the cheeks or the blush with the same color. Now I switch to the darker brown, and I'm adding depth. Immediately you can see, even though still I'm using quite little pressure, you can see that adding another color makes things a little bit more interesting and always less flat. So if you want that you know, nice finish to an illustration, try to use more colors than just one. If you like one color, try finding another which is slightly like within the same tone perhaps, but slightly lighter or darker, and that will help you. So here on top I decided to go with like a bluish pale pink. It's like a cool tone pink over the top of that blush, because I felt it was a little bit too dark on its own. I wanted to bring in some like a pink blush, as if she is, you know, having a nice kind of yeah, just a pink blush in her face, like she's blushing. And here I decided to take the water brush and see whether that ink is actually water soluble, and it is. So you can then make the ink move a little bit, pull it out with the water, and that is, instead of using watercolors, you can, instead of, you know, getting opening a palette and just going for a color and making your brush dirty and then you need water jar, just use a water brush, and the ink that you already have there, just pull it out. You don't need to add anything extra to it, and just for a very subtle effect, it's it bleeds subtly, this ink. So here I have taken a white gel pen, and I don't think it actually worked very well, so I tried to add it in a few areas, but I think it didn't go over the pencils because they create like a waxy texture. So naturally anything you try to put over it, it's like you know, it's a bit of a challenge then. So here I decided to use to pull out that ink a little bit into her lower eye area to create a little bit depth there and a bit of shadowing. So I actually thought I was recording this part where I added the flowers, but it looks like that footage didn't record. So what I did there is I just did the doodling with like teal or like a blue, I think it was a blue probably color, of the like a light blue. I'm trying to think, it might have been a teal. Either way, they're quite similar, from this zebra pen set that I'm using, this pen right here. So I basically doodled those flowers, and it's fairly easy to do. And then around it I decided to, as I said before, go over and create more lines and kind of fill it in a little bit more. So again, at this point it just looks like either a very short haircut or like a slide-on type of hat or a fringe. You know, it's just sort of up to you what you see. And then I'm using a little bit of water to blend in those wide kind of areas that are created between the lines of this ink. And that is pretty much all that I did. I think, yes, I'm correcting the fringe a little bit and just making it more straight there. Decided to make it look more like a hat than a fringe, because then it kind of gives you that variation of deciding yourself. And that is it for me to say. Okay, so apparently I'm not done yet. I'll see how the editing goes of this video. Must be probably will be quite interesting. But anyways, I just realized I didn't use this light cobalt turquoise, and it looks so gorgeous when you go over the oxides, because they're quite opaque. So I decided to go over the edges of the leaves just to give them a little more dimension, and it seems to pop really nicely. So I'm just going to buff that in, and you can see that this flower pops a lot more than this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same here, just on the edges like that, right on the petal. And I'll do a couple, and hopefully you can see here on the bigger flower that it makes a big difference. Just a little bit, and it just makes kind of the petal look like it's not flat, it has like a curling to it maybe, or like a dimension, or something like that. So again, looks a bit more finished. I wouldn't pull this too far into the petal, just a little bit, because you want the oxide to look through. And because we have kind of three mediums here, we have the oxide, we have the gel pen, and we also have this now Faber Castell Polychromos pencil, which basically now makes it look very interesting. So there we go. Now I'm really happy with it, and I'm wondering whether I should add a little bit of this pencil. Yes, I'm going to do that, just a little bit onto these. There we go. That looks so much better. And letting the color underneath still come through, because at the minute they just look completely transparent, but I want that color to be pulled through this beautiful turquoisey color and kind of stand up a little bit, stand out a little bit more on the oxide. Just looks gorgeous. So that's what I would do, and I will just leave it at that for sure and show you a little up close. So now it looks so gorgeous. These colors, the turquoises with the orange and the peaches, they look gorgeous. And then her face has this, you know, beautiful red lip, and the whole thing looks a little bit more finished. All right, so that was fun. So thanks for watching and see you soon.